Hi, this is Lana from Psychosomatic Alchemy, and this is Mercury, and today we're talking about dreams, reality, perception, and more. Dreams are not only beneficial in helping us know ourselves on a deeper psychological level and aiding us in healing, they can also be instrumental in our spiritual evolution. Tibetan Dream Yoga trains us to retain lucidity in our dreams so that we can utilize our sleep time as an opportunity for practice of spiritual disciplines. But this is not merely about being more efficient with our time. In our sleep, we access subtler levels of mind, and when we meditate within a lucid dream, we can more easily pierce the veil of ignorance and realize true nature of mind, which will lead us closer to developing our enlightened potential. Now, this ignorance in question has to do with our misapprehension of reality. The way the world and phenomena appear to our mind is at odds with how they actually exist. According to Eastern model of mind, we're trapped in the world of Maya, illusion, and our job is to wake up and set ourselves free from delusions and afflictive mental states, which perpetuate suffering and keep us imprisoned in the cycle of birth and death called samsara. Now, in fact, mystics around the world compare this waking reality to that of dreams because both are based in illusory appearances projected by our mind. When we dream, we see everything is real. We get fully invested in our dream experience, causing us to become genuinely happy, sad, scared, raising our heart rate and having other types of impact on our body-mind, as if we're truly there going through all of it. And then we wake up and realize none of it was real. Well, apparently, dreams are a pretty good metaphor for how we experience this waking reality. Because once we become fully enlightened, apparently it is just like waking up from a dream and realizing it was all an illusion. In the meanwhile, we're merely just peeling off the onion layers as we reach little awakenings, insights, and gradual disillusionment. This is why understanding how dreams arise makes it easier to see the same mechanism at work during our waking state, bringing us closer to uncovering the fluid, hallucinatory quality of this life. According to Tibetan Buddhism, the way we cognize reality is contradictory to how it actually exists. For instance, two people can view one and the same object and have totally different experience of what they see. So one person can have positive experience of the object and the other one can have a negative. This is because how we see things is dependent on our interpretation, which is valid. However, the question arises, what is the actual quality of that object once we remove the biased and personal projection of the observers? Now, forget two observers. You yourself could witness two of the same phenomena at different times in your life and have a totally different reaction. How many of us sported a favorite hairstyle 20 years ago that now makes us cringe when we look back at old photos? Psychology also points out that we unconsciously project aspects of our own psyche onto people and phenomena, and this is called a projection, and it's a major modus operandi in our human experience. Now, there is a specific process of piercing through illusion of projections, enabling us to withdraw them and making us realize that what previously appeared to us was in fact neither true nor real. And this is one way we engage in Jungian process of shadow integration. Furthermore, in neurolinguistic programming, there is a notion that when we perceive the world, as well as ourselves, our mind engages in deletion, generalization, and distortion. To help you understand these further, let's think of our mind as a camera. So consider deletion. Imagine you're looking at a photo with great many details. And deletion is like cropping the photo and leaving out entire parts of information from your experience. This will, of course, entirely change the context and meaning of that picture, causing you to form opinions that can never do it justice. Distortion is like using a fun Snapchat filter. So we can change or twist our memories or experiences. Think of recalling a past event and adding some extra drama to it. In fact, studies repeatedly show that our memory is routinely inaccurate, as anytime we recall some event to mind, we're not drawing from the original event. Rather, we pull up the last memory of that situation, which keeps changing every time we do so. And generalization is like using one photo to represent an entire vacation. So from a few experiences, we create broad rules or beliefs. Like, for instance, having a couple of bad experiences with dogs and then believing that all dogs are dangerous. This dog is dangerous, even though he doesn't look so. So it's no secret that at all times, our interpretation of what's in front of us is colored by infinite variables that range from our mood and conditioning and mental state, unconscious influences, religious or political biases, and preferences, the times we live in, societal norms, the way we were raised, and the list goes on. We could say these are our individual and collective factors that affect us at all times. But Tibetan Buddhists go a step further and say that everything we cognize with our senses is a type of projection. So the fact that I see a table or hear a sound, the concept that I have of a table is dependent on me learning that this rectangular surface with 4 legs is labeled table and serves the function of holding things. So what's there is some cut up wood and some nails arranged in a certain kind of way that it can hold my coffee cup, and therefore I label it table. And I'm correct, because it functions as a table by definition. Furthermore, if I'm a designer, I can look at some table and say, find it aesthetically pleasing. Someone else might find it ugly. So I see a beautiful table out there, and they see an ugly table. So whose view is valid? Who is right? Well, both views are valid to their corresponding observers. So then, where are the qualities of the table coming from? Well, certainly not from the table, but from the eyes of the beholder, or rather, mind of a beholder. And we can see this easily enough. So if these qualities of the table come from the observers, well then what is the actual quality of the table out there? The table itself. And the answer is none. None that are inherently embedded within the table. But the problem is when we see the table, it appears to us as objectively, inherently beautiful or ugly, or whatever other label we project onto it. And so it appears that it comes with its own qualities, innate qualities, rather than as something that we superimposed over it with our interpretation. Now from there, other complications arise. If I like it, I want to have it. Don't we all want to have things we like? And then if we don't get what we desire, or if we can't avoid what we dislike, we get pretty upset. So our entire state of happiness or unhappiness results from these misperceptions that qualities that, positive or negative qualities are coming from objects rather than from our mind interpreting them. So if I think the table is gorgeous, I want it for my living room. It's going to look great. And if you think it's ugly, well, you definitely don't want it in your space. And if we live together, well, we're going to have a problem. This projection of qualities, of aesthetic, of value, and so forth, it's like a pretty conventional thing. And we can agree that we can see different things. But Tibetans go way further. They will claim that even seeing a table to begin with is a projection. So let's look at this further. So imagine my dog walks into a room. He won't cognize the table, obviously. He might see something that could resemble a chew toy. So if he starts nibbling on the legs of a table, one can't argue that his perception, is obviously valid for him, because this object also functions as a chew toy. Equally, a human raised by wolves in a jungle would cognize something entirely different. So she wouldn't see a table because no one bestowed her a concept of a table. Now consider all we said about a table, from difference in opinion about its aesthetic to even whether there is an objective table to begin with or not. The way we see this table is the way we see everything, including ourselves. So we overlay meaning and value and qualities and attributes over everything and everyone that we encounter. And this includes to how we see ourselves. So we've gone a little far into the philosophical dimension of things, but according to Tibetan Buddhism, this is not mere semantics. And we can actually achieve a state or touch a state wherein for a moment we can view reality, meaning people, situations, phenomena, ourselves. We can see all of these things without projecting, without filters. And when we do, the implication is that we stop grasping to the external to fulfill our quest for happiness and fulfillment. We become free from craving, free from delusions, aversions, all those things that make this life unpleasant. Before we move on from this, consider another perplexing little piece of the puzzle about our reality that will definitely make you realize that there is something super fishy going on here. So research in modern physics, specifically the double-slit experiment, demonstrates that us merely observing particles can influence their behavior. And not only that, but it can cause them to behave differently from how they behaved before we observed them, thus indicating that our observation has a direct impact on how reality manifests or appears to us. So there is an undeniable relationship between the observer, ourselves, and reality. The two are not separate but completely interconnected. Objects and phenomena are not isolated or separate from the mind that is observing them. So now that we have some kind of a clue of how it is that our perception is perpetually skewed and contaminated by limitless factors preventing us from seeing clearly, we can examine how it is that dream yoga can help us. For one, dream is a projection of the mind. Reality is also a projection of the mind. However, it is much easier to become disillusioned in a dream than in a waking state. And as we do so in a dream, it will in turn affect our waking mind and loosen the mechanism by which we misinterpret everything. To go a step further, becoming conscious and more realized in a dream also gives us the capacity to maneuver through the bardo, a state we enter upon death and before a new rebirth, according to Tibetan Buddhist view. And this is another opportunity for liberation only if we can recognize that visions in the bardo aren't real, but a reflection of our own mind. In his book, The Tibetan Yogas of Dream and Sleep, Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche draws from a text belonging to ancient pre-Buddhist spiritual tradition of Tibet called Bon. And this text is called the Mother Tantra, and it offers profound and insightful yet poetic metaphors to help us understand illusory nature of both dreams and waking life. And here are some examples. Dreams compared to rainbow. Just like a rainbow, a dream can be so alluring and beautiful. However, it has no substance. It's simply a display of light and depends on the point of view of the observer. If I chase it, I can never reach it because there is nothing to catch. And in the same way, the dream, like the rainbow, consists of conditions from which an illusion arises. Dreams as moon. The dream is like a moon reflected in numerous bodies of water, in lakes, ponds, sea, well, puddles, and so on. And it also reflects in all the windows across towns and cities, as well as in mirrors and crystals. The moon is not multiplying. There is only one moon, just as the many objects of a dream are of one essence, that of the mind. Dreams as mirage. One wandering in the desert, especially if thirsty, will see a mirage of a shimmering surface of water in a distance. But when approached, one will find nothing there. When we investigate images of a dream, they, like the mirage, are found to be insubstantial illusions, the play of light. Dreams as echoes. If I go to a place conducive to echoes and I make a loud sound, many loud sounds will come back. If I make a soft sound, many soft sounds will return. The sound I hear returning is the sound I produced, just as the content of a dream appears to be independent of a dreamer and separate from the dreamer, but is in fact only the projected content of the mind returning back to the dreamer. Thank you for watching this little presentation by Lana and Mercury. And please subscribe to my channel for more interesting and practical content on the subject of psychospiritual evolution, drawing from Tibetan Buddhism, Western Hermetic tradition, and Jungian psychology. Bye. Bye, Mr. Momo.